Good morning. I believe it's the last day of winter. Spring tomorrow, even though it doesn't quite feel like spring, right? Unitarian Universalists have been a part of Helena since the late 19th century. We welcome you to join us. As you are welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you are welcome here. With little children, or your partner, or alone, we joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer or doubter, as joiner or loner. You are welcome here. Feeling a part of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest, you are welcome to join us as you are. We also welcome the people of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfoot Salish, and Chippewa tribes who share this land. We'll now do the chalice lighting. But I didn't mark my reading, so just 1 second. I'll have you in a second. Our reading is page 664 in Singing in the Living Tradition, Give Us the Spirit of the Child. Give us the spirit of the child. Give us the child who lives within, the child who trusts, the child who imagines, the child who sings, the child who receives without reservation, the child who gives without judgment. Give us a child's eyes, that we may receive the beauty and freshness of this day like a sunrise. Give us a child's ears, that we may hear the music of mythical times. Give us a child's heart, that we may be filled with wonder and delight. Give us a child's faith, that we may be cured of our cynicism. Give us the spirit of the child, who is not afraid to need, who is not afraid to love. Our opening hymn, there's a typo, it is page 53. Love is our spirit, in Open Your Heart.
Love is the spirit that guides us.
Now it's time for our offering. Thank you for your gifts this day and for all the gifts of action that make this community possible. If you are visiting, please remain our guest. Your presence is your gift to us. Today's a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to start with an opening message, and then I'm going to have the children come forward, and the children will be invited to stay through the service. I just didn't want them to come up front and then get bored while I'm speaking. So my opening message, my name is CJ, pronouns she, hers. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So chaos may ensue, but we will get through. My history is I'm interested in human performance. This usually gets relegated to professional athletes. But we are all human, and we all have greatness within us. So my interest is studying human potential. And for the last year, I've been studying movement with a teacher. And I just wanted to share some things that I've learned through this practice. The references I'm using today, one is Moshe Feldenkrais, his book Awareness Through Movement. The other, I've had this book a long time. He's a French philosopher. In French, it's pronounced Roger Poldois. In English, it looks like Roger Poljoit, if anybody's interested. And we have some experiments to do today. I'm hoping we can get through all of them, but based on time, we may not. I didn't ask, so about 11, or 12, 15, is that when we kind of wrap up?
12, 13, 12, 20.
20, okay.
See, when you wrap up, and then we'll have a hymn and our distinguished and the challenge and announcements.
Okay.
12, 20.
I was just curious on the time. Both these authors focus on developing awareness through curiosity, and that's what we'll be working on today. For our online listeners, some of this may not be terribly conducive to watching online. So just go with the flow. You have a homework assignment. It is to go to a park or to the kids section in the library and to watch children and really observe with your curiosity on how they are experiencing life. And to really take off your adult glasses and see their movement and their actions and their behavior through what is really being done, not through our adult perspective on what they are doing. It's also helpful if you record yourself doing the same things that kids do, and either watch yourself in a mirror or actually record yourself on a phone and see what the difference is. It's also helpful to go maybe observe adults doing the same thing. And what's the difference between when a child does something and when an adult does the exact same thing? Do you look different? Are your expressions different? Are your movements different? And then how can you mimic the child? Does your face look different? Do you feel different? Do you move differently? When we do that, when we start observing ourselves and really pay attention to what we see in ourselves, whether we record it and watch it or watch in a mirror, we find that what we think we do isn't actually what we're doing. So we really need to model ourselves on some of our great teachers, which are children. So today, as the last day of winter, we are celebrating the arrival of spring. It's a time to explore and practice vitality, which is our topic for the day, practicing vitality. We will be discussing play, movement, and sensation, and how these topics can develop and deepen vitality. The last day of winter, time to reflect. How did we learn and develop ourselves through winter? It was a time to nourish our roots. Maybe we spent time in contemplation. Maybe we spent time studying the teachings of others. Maybe we read. Maybe we were creative. Now it's spring. It's a time to unfurl. It's a time to unfurl our leaves and reach for the sky and the sun. It's a time to use the nourishment that we gathered during winter for growth and exploration. I wanted to relate this back to the fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. I have a paraphrased quote from the Reverend Paige Getty found in the 7 Principles in Word and Worship. It's paraphrased because I found it online, and then now they're also referencing this, so I hope that it is referenced correctly, and now I'm also going to paraphrase it. Reflection on the fourth principle. We are responsible to continually search for truth and meaning, to exist beyond bonds of dogma and oppression. We are responsible to be humble, to be open to the great mysteries of truth and meaning that life offers. You have a sacred right and responsibility to engage in this free and responsible quest as an act of religious devotion. We have a responsibility to explore. And let's explore. How do adults explore truth and meaning? Think about some ways. We have art, we have music, we have poetry, we have readings, meditation, we study the teachings of others, we listen to recordings, we listen to podcasts. Think about any other ways you might explore. And then think of the difference between those things. There's a distinct difference between actions that experience the self, such as creating, meditating, praying. We're curious in our sensations. But there's also a difference between relying on the verbalizations from another. These verbalizations are a lens of the world created by adults to explain abstract thought. Now I'm going to quote Moshe Feldenkrais from this book, Awareness Through Movement. It is hard to imagine a world whatsoever without worlds. Abstract thought and verbalization occupy the most important place in science and in all social achievement. But at the same time, abstraction and verbalization becomes a tyrant who deprives the individual of concrete reality, and it causes severe disturbances in our harmony. As verbal abstraction becomes more successful and more efficient, man's thinking and imagination becomes further restrained from his feelings, senses, and movements. Thought that proceeds mainly in words does not draw substance from the processes of the older evolutionary structures that are closely tied to feeling. Creative, spontaneous thought must maintain a link with these early brain structures. Abstract thought that is not nourished from time to time from deeper sources within us becomes a fabric of words alone, empty of all genuine human content. So let's relate this back to the fourth principle of our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We need to stop our over-reliance on abstract thought and adult verbalizations. Spring is a time to take off our adult glasses, and it's a time to develop our natural process of awareness, sensation, feeling, and movement. We access this natural practice by observing and learning from our world's greatest teachers, the people who do it naturally, children. I'm going to have the kids come up. Your job in the audience and adults is to observe, just astutely observe, and take off your adult glasses and watch their behaviors and their actions, the things that they're actually doing. All right, kids, come on up. Okay, I was told I need to warm up the kids. So it takes a lot of nerves to be up front with all these people looking at you. And believe me, I have to have a lot of nerves to be up here too. I thought, does anybody here want to be a doctor? Yeah? Yeah? This will be great because doctors have to test nerves all the time. I thought we could test our nerves. Do you want to come stand up here? Come stand. All right. Should we have the adults do this too? Because it takes a lot of nerves to practice as well. And you may either sit or stand. Okay, I'm just going to give you directions. I'm just testing your nerves. Okay. Open your eyes wide. Stand on your toes. Walk on your tippy toes. Close your eyes. Show your teeth. Shrug your shoulders. Open your eyes wide. Wrinkle your forehead. Stick out your tongue. Puff out your cheeks. Walk on your heels. Look up. Raise your eyebrows. Stick out your tongue. Say ah. Close your eyes. Show your teeth. Stand on one foot. Stand on the other foot. Puff out your cheeks. Stand on one foot. Stick out your tongue. Stand on the other foot. Cross your eyes. Walk on your toes. Shrug your shoulders. Look up. Cross your eyes. Look up. Cross your eyes. Look down. Puff out your cheeks. Smile. Puff out your cheeks. Smile. All right. I think everyone passed the nerve test. But I don't know what it means because I'm not a doctor. All right. Do you feel warmed up? Yes. The concept of the talk today came about because my son Sam, he was watching a video of my friend talk. And Sam says, you know, that guy always looks like he just got done doing cartwheels. And I had to think about this for a moment. What does it mean when someone looks like they just got done doing cartwheels? And for a long time I thought it was because of his hair. His hair's always messed up. And I thought, well, looking like you just did cartwheels must mean that your hair's standing up on end. But I had to do a lot of thinking about this because his hair doesn't always stand up on end. So I did a lot of thinking about what it means to look like you just did a cartwheel. And I want all the adults to look around the room. What do people look like? Just get an observation of your friends here. Okay, now the kids, we don't have room to do cartwheels because I don't want anybody crashing into the pews. But I want you to show the adults. Does everybody here do cartwheels? No? Have you imagined do you do somersaults? Yeah. You do somersaults? Okay. I want you to show the grown-ups what it looks like when you just get done doing a cartwheel. What it looks like when you just get done doing a somersault. What does it look like? Elliot, I think you have room to do a cartwheel right there. You want to do one? No, you don't want to? I don't think we warmed up enough.
Can Harrison do a cartwheel? Somersault?
It's okay. This is something to be curious about. At some point in time, you may have done a cartwheel. It may have been when you were 5, a somersault. Go back to that time and feel what that felt like. Do you get a sensation of tumbling? There's a moment where you look at the ground, your brain says, I can do this. There's a little bit of you that thinks, I don't know if I can do this. As you go down to the ground, there's a critical moment where you think, I'm either going to succeed or I'm going to crash to the ground. And there's a moment where the feet go over the head and it's fun. And then you come back up and everything's vital and you're buzzing and you realize you just did something impossible. So I want you to spend some time thinking about this week. Go back to when you were 5 and think about doing a cartwheel or a somersault. I also wanted to talk a little bit about curiosity. Is there anything that you've been curious about this week or wondered about? No? The other week, Shar gave read an essay about curiosity, and one line in there was about how hawks and falcons always look annoyed. And I've wondered about that a lot. Do you have anything that you've wondered about?
Right now, why one fingernail is longer than the other.
Okay. Do you have anything you've wondered about?
Not now.
How about you, Harrison?
I don't know.
Harrison, what were you talking about in the car?
I forgot.
Is there any?
Nothing.
Nothing? This morning I was wondering about when you're happy and you smile, does the smile come first or do you feel happy first? Or are you happy first and then the smile comes?
Happy first and then the smile comes.
The happy first?
Yeah.
Happy first? Or does it all happen at the same time?
I think happy first.
She thinks happy first too. So curiosity we're not quite warmed up. But when you hang out with kids, maybe at the library or at the park, really pay attention and observe the curiosity and what they're thinking about. And I guarantee it's not politics or the things that adults tend to be curious about. So as you go this week, your homework is also to explore curiosity and try to think why things are in a child lens instead of an adult lens. All right, I'm thinking this will get them warmed up. I want to work on jumping, and this will be a task for the adults too, but I'm going to have the kids start. So first I want the kids to show what jumping looks like. You're the teacher right now. I want you to teach all the grown-ups here what jumping looks like. And if you want to come jump down here, you can, so you don't, yep, just jump around. There we go. Should have started with the jumping. Good. Okay, now I want you to show, what do grown-ups look like when they jump? So I asked them what grown-ups look like, and most of them just stopped jumping. I know that you showed me what grown-ups look like when they jump. Do you want to show everyone else?
Come on.
You can do it. You do it. You do it. We have some shy kids, but he showed me what grown-ups look like jumping the other day, and it was a critical failure. He ended on the ground yelling his back hurt. I think there was a knee sprain and a broken back. So, and I also noticed that when we did have a participant who was showing us how adults jumped, he was actually jumping higher than when he was jumping as a kid. So this shows some differences, some critical differences in how adults and children approach a vital element of movement. Jumping is an innate human trait, an innate human behavior. It's a natural process. But kids do it differently than adults. And that's something, if you spend time in a park, watch these kids jump. And then watch an adult jump. Maybe go to a gym and then watch the adults jump and see what's different. If an adult jumps, so I told you to jump and you just started jumping around. If I told an adult to jump, what do you think the first thing the adult's gonna do when they jump? Any ideas? They're gonna go put on their exercise clothes and their tennis shoes. What comes next? An adult jumping, what do you think? They bend their knees. Maybe what will come first? Even before that, they're gonna go find a box or a bench or some stairs to jump up on. What? And then they're gonna bend their knees and then pop up, and then they're gonna fall down, okay? So come out and jump again as kids. So I want you to observe that they're all jumping within their abilities. No one's gone, they haven't made this big 15-minute warm up. They haven't gone and put on their exercise clothes. They didn't go get out a box or a bench and see how high it is. And then what the adult does, they go get a box and then they think, that needs to be a higher box. I gotta make this a workout, right? And then they only jumped, 20, the kids only jumped a few times and then they were done. But an adult, they start thinking this is an exercise, so then they start jumping 50 times. And then what happens? You already saw it.
Wait, what?
They fall down, they tear their ACL in their knee, and then they spend 4 months in physical therapy. So that's what adults happen when they jump. So there's a critical difference here in kids understanding their ability and matching their passion with their ability. And that's something that adults do. We put superfluous effort into our actions. And kids do things just to do things. So we have some kids now jumping, squirming, right? We're just doing things to do the things. When adults do things, they do it out of exercise, they do it out of fitness, they do it with an aim. They do it to learn. There's always some aim. And then as soon as we concentrate on the aim, it makes everything harder, and we put a lot of effort into it. So this is something I want you to work on, a homework assignment, is to understand the effort that adults place onto natural processes. I'm just watching them kind of jump down the stairs, get up and down the stairs. And think about the effort that you would put into that. I thought we could work on jumping as a group, and this is something that our online visitors could do too. We're going to do a hierarchical progression, and it's your responsibility to stay at the level of your ability. So the kids have demonstrated jumping. We're going to start with jumping just seated in our chairs. And you can either close your eyes, you can keep them open. I want to have the kids can you go down this hall and demonstrate to the adults what it looks like to jump. Now adults, your job is to sit and feel what it is to jump. To go back in time to when you're this age and feel the sensation of jumping. There's a number of sensations you can observe and focus on and be curious about. Can you feel, sitting in the chair, the sensation of falling? Can you feel the sensation of floating for a minute amount of time in the air? Can you feel the sensation of elasticity? Our next progression is to feel the sensation of elasticity in either the feet, but I actually think when we're sitting, our hands, when we jump, our whole body's involved, our hands are also involved. So as we're sitting, I think you can get a really good sensation of jumping by observing the elasticity in the hand and the wrist. So this is our second progression, to be really curious about the sensation in our hands. And can you mimic the sensation of a jump just by being elastic in the hands? Adults tend to lose this elasticity in our hands and our fingers. And it is our hands, our fingers, our sense of touch, it is one of the ways we communicate with the world. So a homework assignment is to start feeling and becoming aware of the sense of elasticity. And does it improve our ability, your ability to interact with objects as you create, as you do art, as you feel. And just be curious about that sensation. Our next progression is to stand as you are able. Do you want to keep showing them jumping, or are you tired? So our next progression is to do, just come up on the balls of your feet. Now, how many of you are thinking, oh good, we're doing calf raises in church, I'm working out? Is anybody thinking that? No. I don't want you to think of these as calf raises. I don't want you to think of this as an exercise. The instant we think of it as an exercise, our effort increases. We're just feeling what it feels like to come off the ground and start feeling some elasticity in the feet and the legs. Our next progression, if you're able, is to start getting a bounce and really focusing on the elasticity of all those ligamentous tissues in the feet and the legs. If you're not able to progress, either just go back to some raises or go back to sitting and feeling the elasticity in the hands. Feel the elasticity through the entire body, the sensation through the entire body. When adults bring in effort, we shorten our body. We lose sensitivity to the world around us. We lose our touch to sensation. So by being curious and just doing the thing that we're doing without putting in a lot of superfluous effort, we can just become more aware of sensation. And then the final progression is to, get some air, get the jump in, but only as you are able. We talked about kids being able, they're naturally able to match to their ability. They don't tend to progress past their ability. And that's something adults lose sensitivity to. So note, I'm not trying to jump 3 feet. I'm not doing this for fitness. I'm trying to just be curious about what it feels like to be a spring off the ground and to land back on the ground. So that's some homework for you this week, is to, jumping is, Moshe Feldenkrais says jumping is one of the core characteristics of vitality. It is a human trait. Yeah, jumping should come first next time. So we're just watching the kids jump if you're online for a few minutes. We see rolling, we see enjoyment in the air, we see smiling, we hear laughing. So I'm just curious now, when I ask you what comes first, happiness or smiling, did your answer change? No? Too busy to answer. We have just one more experiment to work on. This one deals with exploration, being curious about sensation. And this one comes out of this philosophical book I have, Roger Poljoy, but it's also an experiment that you played with as a child. Now, have you ever said a word, repeated a word over and over and over and over again until it loses its meaning? You've done this, you probably just don't remember doing it. So the reason I like this author is because he explores curiosity through sensation and through changing perspective. So as a group, I wanted us to work on this experiment together. And it's something that you did in childhood. And once these kids get going, they may join in. Our experiment today is to empty a word of its meaning. It kind of goes along with the thought of our abstract thoughts and verbalization, and how sometimes relying on those things can be a little empty. Take what comes to mind, the most ordinary object, a pen, a watch, a glass, a piece of your own clothing. Just let it be ordinary. Its name, it's known, its presence, it needs to be familiar to you. You have always called this object by the same word. It's consistent, it's natural, normal. Now take this inoffensive, familiar, safe little object in your hand. Repeat its name in a low voice as you look at it. We're going to, the example here is a watch. Stare at the watch in your hand and repeat, watch, 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 watch. Have you kids done that? Just said a word over and over? Shoelace, 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 shoelace. You keep going, it shouldn't take long. In a few seconds, the familiar word detaches itself, it hardens. You find yourself repeating a series of strange sounds, a series of absurd and meaningless noises that denote nothing, indicate nothing, and remain formless. We're not going to do that. You probably experimented like this as a child. Nearly all of us has felt the extreme fragility of the link between words and things. As soon as it is twisted or pulled or descended, that link becomes problematic. It becomes contorted or it breaks. The word dries out and crumbles, a scattered shell of inanity. What happens to the object is no less startling. It's as though its substance becomes thicker, denser, and cruder. The object is somehow more present, but differently so. The moment escapes the fine net of recognizable syllables. You should repeat this old game of dissociation. Try to observe the moment when meaning dissolves and how a new raw reality emerges outside of words. Glimpse the hard scale beneath the prose. Repeat the same word several times for the same object and dissipate all meaning. Be curious about the sensations. Is this marvelous? Terrifying? Funny? Just a few seconds are enough to tear that fine film in which we make sense of things, smug with the power of giving things a name. Let's do this experiment real fast. Can you show us they're playing tag? I think I've lost control and chaos is now ensuing. But actually this author talks about chaos and its relationship to vitality and how we cannot change the history, but we can sow chaos. And so one of his philosophical discussions is how sowing chaos and welcoming chaos allows us to be open and communicating with our vitality. But I did want to practice this. Hey kids, Nope. Too far. Okay, come here. Okay, so we're working on the sensation of what it means to say a word over and over and over so that it has no more meaning again. And I want to do it as a group. I know you play with this. So let's pick a word. Should we do shoelace? Okay. Just pick a word, repeat the word until it makes no sense in your head. and feel the sensations that creates. What's a weird word for you?
Yeah. Apple. Apple, 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 apple. Apple, 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 apple.
We keep saying it until it becomes so weird. But the point of this is to work on our awareness of sensations and playing silly little games that we learned as children. That keep us vital. So I just wanted to do a few closing statements. I think we just totally went off the rails, and now we're just observing chaos. And I'm sorry for people online. The point of the experiments today were to be curious about movement and sensation. We do these things by playing, and we can really start relating to these things by games that we played as children, such as jumping, cartwheels, playing tag. When the kids started playing, we saw a lot of behaviors that I really want you to start focusing on. We're seeing play. Play is vital to understanding vitality and understanding sensation and movement. When I'm asking the kids what comes first, smiling or laughing, I want you to be curious about that too. What does come first? Are you aware of being happy before you start smiling? The experiments we do today, even though it seemed like it was just total chaos, what I'm trying to get at is that movement and sensation are the universal language of the mind, the body, and the soul. And this is something that kids know innately, but adults forget. I'm just kind of letting them play so that you can observe their behaviors. I hope that you can hear me, and I hope it's not too distracting, but they're the ones teaching, and I'm just talking. Can I ask you a question? Okay, I have a question for you. Does your stomach know English?
Yeah.
It does? Okay. Do you know what a soul is? Can your soul read?
No.
Okay, the soul can't read. Can your leg speak?
No.
Does your hand know Spanish?
No.
No. Okay, so what I'm getting at here is that we spend a lot of time as adults trying to verbalize and abstract thought. But because our body doesn't know English, our soul cannot read, we have to find a universal language that speaks to mind, body, and soul, and that comes through movement and sensation. We have to develop sensitivity to access this language, to access the language of movement and sensation. Kids are very sensitive to this communication. So that's why I just want you to observe how they access sensation. Curiosity, I tried to get the kids to kind of be talking about curiosity. You're starting to see it now that they're warmed up. Curiosity is what makes us sensitive to sensation. Without curiosity, seeking sensation is just risk. We have to have that curiosity to keep us safe in how we explore movement and sensation. When adults are told that something's good for them, like jumping, they lose their curiosity about that. They just want to go do something to do it, to exercise, to be fit. And they lose the curiosity, which makes us lose the sensitivity to what's going on, which then leads to injuries. Play, which the kids are doing now, hey, just step away from that. Okay. Play, which is what the kids are demonstrating now, it's the tool that combines curiosity, movement, and sensation. Play is what allows us to make connections, improvisation, and interactions with sensation and movement. So when I started the exploration of vitality, we didn't try to define it because we had talked about the over-reliance on abstract thinking and try to verbalize that. If we had tried to define it, we would have missed this whole process. That vitality it's not a thing to be defined, it's a process. It's something to be observed and then to try to imitate and access. When we go through life, kids are very sensitive to this play, curiosity, and sensitivity. So they're very connected to vitality, and that's what you're seeing up here right now. As soon as we lose play, lose curiosity, lose sensitivity, we have a very critical disconnection to our vitality. Vitality makes the impossible possible. It makes the possible easy, and it makes the easy elegant. And that is a quote from Feldenkrais. All right, I'm done with my message. I hope that I get invited back to do this again. I don't think anything was destroyed. But I want you to observe play and wandering and the things that you can incorporate into your actions. Okay. Who wants to ring the bell? So at this point, we're going to do a silent stillness exercise. Because part of vitality is being aware. And we can't have movement without stillness. So we actually have to practice stillness and quietness. Okay, we have one bell ringer. Do you have another bell ringer? Okay. All right, we're going to ring the bell. Okay, do you want to ring it first? Okay. And then we're going to sit in stillness. Okay, and then you ring that. Good. Do you want to ring the bell? Ring the bell. Okay, we have a line of bell ringers. Okay, ring it one more time, then we'll extinguish the Oh wait, then we have closing hymn. All right, so now we have reflections. But we're also running a little behind. Oh, yes.
Thank you for the topic of vitality. That was just helpful. I work as a yoga therapist, and we follow a model that's a bio-enviro-psychosocial philosophy. And vitality is known as an environmentally subtle or powerful emotional energy. So much of what you spoke today was helpful in thinking in those terms and feeling that. So thank you.
CJ, this was extraordinary. I've never gotten to watch kids play with just the joie de vivre that they have like this in church. It was fabulous. Thank you.
They're so creative about developing some sort of a game that they
Right, the comment was that the kids were up here just making up a game, and the kids knew what the rules were, but they just made it up. And the adults didn't know what the rules were. Okay, our closing hymn is 118. The closing hymn, 118, This Little Light of Mine. And we extinguish the chalice. Do you want to help? Okay. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And then at this point, we stop recording and we do announcements, joys, concerns. Okay. Joys and concerns.